Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here, wrapping up the 2024 racing season. So appropriate that Oaklawn Park carded the year's end stakes on Sunday, that being their feature. This one for the 3-year-old fillies going the 1 mile distance with that short stretch run at Oaklawn. A field of 8 signed on in here. The morning line favorite is the number 4 Glee, one of 2 Steve Asmussen trainees in this race. She is coming off a blowout victory in the Toby Keith Stakes at Remington. But Mike, I'm going to be interested to see who goes favored between Glee and the number 2 You'll Be Back, who I could see attracting quite a bit of support off a visually impressive maiden win at Fairgrounds.
I sort of looked at it the same way. I think you might see the 2 go favorite here, but not that Glee isn't supposed to take some money in here for top connections. 2 of her last 3 starts have resulted in absolute blowout wins with figures that certainly make her a contender in here.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this year's end. And there is a fair amount of pace signed on in here. You've got a few horses that are stretching out in distance around the 2 turns for the first time. So typically you'll see those sprinters stretching out go forward. One of those is the number 3, Itwillbefun, who travels pretty strongly in her races. And it would not be surprised to see her towards the front end if she breaks well. But Glee has plenty of tactical speed as well, just not a horse that needs the lead to be effective.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. We'll see how they decide to play it with the 3. Itwillbefun. I thought she went a pretty solid pace going 7 furlongs, 2 starts back when she just sort of couldn't hold on at the end. They rated her last time. She made a big move on the turn. She was pretty impressive winning that race, but she didn't get much of a figure. I wonder if they decide to get a little more aggressive with her here.
Let's go through this field, beginning with the other Steve Asmussen trainee down on the rail. That is the number 1, Adeera. She's been chasing home Good Cheer in her last couple of starts, and Good Cheer, I think a lot of people believe, might be one of the best 2-year-old fillies in the country. Brad Cox seems to have all of the good 2-year-old fillies at this point in time, and Good Cheer definitely one of those. Adeera, no match for that rival in the last couple of starts, beaten by double-digit margins each time. Was rated off what seemed like a moderate pace last time in the rags to riches, and was asked to go in the stretch, altered course to the inside, just couldn't really pick up any ground. She's been steadily improving her speed figures, but would need another step forward to beat this field.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, if nothing else, you could say that, this is certainly class relief based on who she ran against in her last 2. But you're talking about a filly now, David, who has been beaten double-digit lengths in each of her last 4 starts. So I know she's running against good horses, but, it's just not like she's competitive with them. We'll see. I didn't think she was impossible, but I also didn't love her in here and didn't think she'd be a great price.
The number 2 is You'll Be Back, who I think both Mike and I think could attract some attention in here, and rightfully so. I mean, she is coming off a visually impressive maiden victory at Fairgrounds last time, only going 6 furlongs. But I mean, this filly has all the pedigree in the world to stretch out around the 2 turns, especially on the dam side. I know she's a practical joke, but Mike, I'm sure you looked up this pedigree and are very familiar with it, especially in the second generation. Just a ton of stamina influences, and can't fault this filly for losing her debut because she faced some good ones that day going back to the summertime, and now she's second off the layoff. Just feels like it would be no surprise if there were a step forward coming even out of that victory.
Yeah, agreed. Just acquitted herself really well in that debut too against a really good field, and certainly took a step forward last time. Just really traveled strongly throughout that race. And you're right, David. I mean, practical joke, all right, but it's only a mile here, and it's all distance and class on the bottom of this pedigree. This really actually has a chance to be pretty good.
Yeah, the dam a half to Acoma, actually a full to Acoma, a stakes winning router, a half sister to Arch. That very good stamina influences a sire, and also a good racehorse, Festival of Light. Just nothing but strong class and stamina influence on the bottom side for You'll Be Back. The number 3 is Itwillbefun. She's another one coming out of a maiden victory, sprinting last time in the 4th start of her career for Ken McPeak. And Mike, I want to get your take on that race, because watching the replay, they clearly were looking to teach her to rate a little bit from her far outside post. She was staying in the clear and just moved up around the far turn like she was going to inhale the front runners and run off to win that race by 5 or 6 lengths. And I was a little disappointed that she didn't open up on the field and only won by a couple lengths as they came onto the wire. And watching her stride through the stretch, it kind of made me wonder if the added distance is going to work for her, even though she does have some pedigree for it.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. I mean, I felt like off the big move she made on the turn there, I really felt like she was maybe going to go on. She's still a little green. Didn't she look a little green to you when she took over at the top of the stretch? Just sort of wandering, didn't want to change her lead initially. I don't know. I didn't want to be too hard on her for the race 2 back where she got tired going 7, because I thought the pace was legitimate and maybe she had a reason to get tired, but it was a little concerning last time. She is bred to stretch out on the dam side. So, we'll see how she handles the 2-turn mile.
The number 4 is the morning line favorite, the number Glee. She is coming off that blowout victory last time in the Toby Keith at Remington. Actually, both of her stakes victories have come at Remington Park by double-digit margins. And notably, she was trying the mile that she's going to face again at Oaklawn on Sunday. Here in this replay, we're taking a look at it, and you have to like the way she finishes off this race. Not a whole lot behind her in terms of horses that had run meaningful speed figures, but at least she's getting the distance as they come onto the wire here. And she's just run a trio of 70 plus buyers that in this field make her a major player.
Yeah, she makes a lot of sense on paper in this race. I do think she's going to have a harder time with this field than she had with the one that we just watched there. If nothing else, yeah, she did go on with it pretty nicely. You don't have to worry about the mile with her, I guess. But man, those horses that she was running over in the stretch there, they were stopping in that race while this filly went on with it. I'll be honest with you, David. I looked at all the races, not really that impressed with her, kind of hoping she does go favorite in here so I can bet somebody else.
The number 5 is Kinzie Queen, and she got the mile around one turn when she broke her maiden at Churchill Downs 2 back. That was a $50,000 maiden claiming race, though. She was claimed out of that spot, made her first start for the Greg Compton barn last time in a first level starter allowance race, and closed decently for third on the slight turn back in distance of 6.5. Now she's stretching back out to the mile here, trying the 2 turns again. She did take a step forward first off the claim for the new barn, but I still think she'd need another one to really be competitive with this field.
Yeah, I agree with you. She did run fine last time, but it was a race that really set up for her from off the pace. They were contesting that pace. They were going fast in front of her, and she never really lost any ground in there. Just never was a serious threat in there. I mean, I thought she ran fine, but I didn't think she ran great. And I thought in a lot of ways she had all the best of it there.
The number 6 Jenkin might be a little bit more interesting. We'll take a look at her maiden victory last time out at Oaklawn Park, going this same mile distance. And I thought this was a big step forward for her because she had faced a good horse on debut and Stunner chasing that one home at Aqueduct. Not really a threat that day. Same thing at Churchill next time, never really in the mix, but stretching out to the 2 turns in the last race, she got much more forward and just stayed on at one pace at the end, pulling away from that field late. She went off at a big price, got the job done, paid $32 to win. Now she's stepping up against the tougher field, but at least she does feel like a horse that's now heading in the right direction for a very capable trainer.
Yeah, I like that about her too. I'm conflicted about the maiden win that we just watched there, if only because, it's just one of those races where, she did get forward and that's to her credit, but so did the runner up who was just a huge price in that race as well. And she just sat up there with that horse. They went 1-2 around the track. So I wasn't sure how much credit I wanted to give her, but she certainly improved in that race.
The 2 horses drawn to the outside are going to be long shots. One of them is Mischievous Bria. She is stretching out in distance for the first time after a 6-furlong try on the Myrtlewood that Glee also contested, but she was far behind that foe, finishing 8th that day at a huge price. Maybe the stretch out's going to help her a little bit, but she's just another that needs to run faster.
Yeah, she's just hard to make on paper unless she's just going to really love stretching out. Maybe they get a little aggressive with her here and try to come out of there running and get her up close to the pace, but she's going to have to take a big step forward.
And then rounding out the field is the number 8, Piggy Tails Up. She tried this distance once before in a stakes race at Delaware, not facing a toughest field that day and was just no match for those rivals. Cut back last time, got the job done at Remington, but now she's stepping way up in class to face a tougher field here and still has to prove she can get the distance.
Yeah, just a lot of questions she's going to have to answer in here. I mean, I always give horses a little bit of extra credit, but dropping back from a mile to 5.5 furlongs, that's not easy to do. And she handled it really well last time. Was able to keep up with that pace the entire way, and then prevailed after a pretty long battle. I thought she ran fine in there. In a race that lacks appealing long shots, at least in my opinion, she was the one I tried to talk myself into, and I just couldn't get there.
Well, let's throw up our picks for the year's end. And Mike, I think we view this one pretty similarly. I don't think we're going to get that much of a price on You'll Be Back, but she feels like the horse in this race that might have real potential and talent based on the victory last time and just her pedigree. She's supposed to like this distance.
Yeah, that's exactly how I looked at it. Again, I'm just sort of hoping that maybe that morning line's right. They go a little bit more for the 4, or maybe one of the other horses even, and we can get a fair price on it too.
Both Mike and I have the number 2, You'll Be Back on top in the year's end stakes on Sunday at Oaklawn Park. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.